What up? It's your girl Motivation with B, and this is Get Real with B, where we're going to get real, we're going to get raw, and we're going to get down to the truth. And I am your host, Veronica Suazo. Welcome back, you guys. This is season 2. Today, I have a very, very special guest. I am so honored and excited to have her on today's show. I have been following you for a while, and the things that you post are very informative, very educational. And I know within the Latin community, it's important for us to see those things. As someone who's in school, going to be a licensed therapist, following you and just seeing the content that you're posting is so important. And it's exactly what my mission and what I align with. So having you here today is special to me. And I know for sure it's going to be special to those that are listening in because, just hearing about your journey, what made you want to become a licensed therapist, and what made you want to specialize in healing relationships and healthy relationships is important. And I know that a lot of people out there are going to get some gems from it. So I'm excited to have you here. I won't say too much so you can introduce yourself. But yeah, so without further ado, go ahead and let them know who you are.
Thank you for having me. First of all, I appreciate what you shared about the work that I do. I think that I have come a long way in my own personal healing journey. And I'm Cynthia Flores. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. Here in the state of California. I have a private practice. I also have a podcast, the Heal and Manifest podcast. So check it out. And I work with the Latinx community. I specialize in trauma, intergenerational healing, in anxiety, depression, and also a lot of my focus in my work is around relational work. It's around healing relationships because we don't coexist in a vacuum. We coexist collectively in communities. And I'm a firm believer that we do heal in relationships. And that is the core of my work. And even the psychoeducation and a lot of my content and a lot of the work that I put out there, that's the core of my work. We do heal individually in our own ways because we have a unique story. We all go through adversity at some point in our lives, but also what brings us together is relationships. So I think that is the core of my work.
Yeah, I love that. Completely 100% agree that healing is important with just not ourselves, but together as a whole. And it's kind of sad, especially when you look at all the chaos and stuff that's going on. And sometimes for me, who's gonna become a therapist and still has a couple years until I'm licensed, I'm gonna be honest. I look at what's happening and I'm like, are we ever gonna heal?
Yeah.
And that's sad, and it sounds like it's not hopeful. And I'm human, right? Sometimes those thoughts do come into our head, but I try to be positive about it. And I'm just like, well, if we continue to heal ourselves and post about it and share our journey and share that, then there's that little bit of hope that we can collectively heal.
100%. And you know what? I know you mentioned like, are we ever going to heal? And I don't believe like healing is not linear. It doesn't mean that there's like an end point where we're like completely healed.
Yeah.
I don't believe that that is true. I believe that we can embark in our healing journey when we come from a place of self-awareness and expanding our consciousness and becoming aware of our patterns, of why we are the way that we are, and also understanding our family dynamics, because that was kind of my journey at the beginning. But I think that it's really about having awareness and recognizing that there's no endpoint, that through our lives, we're going to go through different hardships, situations, maybe adversity, challenges, and how we navigate life. But it's really about how we bounce back. And I think that that is the resilience part. It's like bouncing back from these challenges, and it's taking those lessons and taking the things that we learn along the way with us. And I believe that that is growth. That in itself is healing. That is transforming the way that we maybe perceive certain situations and learn from that experience. I think that that is in itself healing. It's not like an actual end point, because we go through different phases in our lives, right? Different developmental phases, different stages, and we're constantly changing and we're constantly evolving.
No, you clocked it. Like you're 100% on point because it's true. Like healing isn't linear. You're constantly learning a lot about yourself. You're constantly growing. So that makes sense.
Mhm. And we
Um,
are also unlearning a lot, right? Because in our journey,
that part,
it's also,
unlearning.
yes, it's also about unlearning again a lot of the different patterns, maybe the patterns that we learned growing up, the limiting beliefs in the way that we relate to the world and the way that we relate to ourselves, to our relationships. It's a lot of unlearning. I know that personally for me, I've had to do a lot of unlearning when it came to relationships.
Same here.
And I still am. I
Yeah.
still am. But one of the things that I think about in my journey is around like silence. And I talk a lot about voicing our truth. And I know I've come from a space where I've like had to do a lot of unlearning and healing when it comes to using my voice and when it comes to speaking my truth. And I can think about a particular situation because I know that my mom, when she was little and throughout her life, mainly when she was little, she had to learn and survive by not speaking up, right? Because there was abuse, there was substance abuse. My grandpa, he was like an alcoholic, and there was a lot of physical abuse,
Yeah.
you know, and from both of my grandparents. And I'm not like demonizing them, but I think that that is intergenerational trauma. That is trauma. And yeah, there was a lot of trauma, there was a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and my mom had to stay silent, had to stay calladita, you know, don't speak up or else you're going to get hurt. And growing up, I just remember my mom would say like don't say anything, like just let it go, let it pass. You know, it's okay. Like I know that she was coming from a place of trying to protect me,
Yeah.
but I learned from a very young age that it wasn't safe for me to speak my truth, to speak my opinion, to be assertive, to share my thoughts, to share what I felt. So I started going inward and internalizing. And as children, we internalize a lot of these narratives, a lot of these things that we learn from our parents. Not that it's very subconscious. It doesn't
Mm.
mean that she was like, "Oh, don't say this." Like, she wasn't trying to instill that to do more hurt. It was a way of protection. I know that that was survival. So then I had to in my healing journey throughout even like being in education and in grad school and my relationships, I had to be okay with being uncomfortable with speaking up, and I still am. I mean, vulnerability hangover is real. Like I know that I came here thinking, okay, what do I feel comfortable sharing and what do I don't feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah.
Because I
I
was
hear
like, I don't
that.
want to end up like being a hot mess or I'm like crying and I'm just like not
Let it out,
dysregulated.
girl. Let it out. This is get real with me. You can shed tears. You can share, but
Yes.
I understand. I get
But
it.
I think that I've struggled a lot with vulnerability. And because of that, right? Because of that reason, I mean, I work with clients all the time, like
Yeah.
talking about shame and guilt around vulnerability. And I do relate to that because I know that there was a lot of shame and there was a lot of guilt of expressing myself. And I had to do a lot of that unlearning, and I still am. And I'm allowing myself to recognizing that I am human, first of all. Like, I'm a therapist, I do this work, but I'm not perfect.
Yes.
Like, I have a lot of shit, a lot of stuff that I need to still unpack and I'm working through, and
They
that's
think we're
okay.
robots, huh?
They think, but we're
Y'all
not.
think we're robots. Nah.
We are not. And I totally with that, I can say that I've had to do a lot of unlearning and relearning and really understanding who I am and finding my own voice.
Yeah, I love that. And I appreciate you sharing this part of your life because it's like you said, it's not easy being vulnerable, even for myself. Even starting this podcast was very vulnerable for me because I had to start sharing my personal self love journey the things I learned about myself, holding myself accountable. And those things are not pretty, right? I had to really look in the mirror and get real and be like, what did I bring to the table in that relationship? Yeah, that person cheated on me. Yeah, that person wasn't emotionally available. But also, what did I bring to that relationship? How did I not show up in the best version of myself? Because it's not just about the other person, but about you and the way you also showed up, because it takes two to tangle. So there's a lot of things that I have put out there since season 1, since I started. And I continue to do on my Instagram too, because my mission is just being loud and vulnerable and sharing what I've gone through to give people that wisdom to learn from my experiences, hopefully to get some gems, some light, and to see that there is a light at the other end of the tunnel. You could be a shitty person, or you can be making really dumb choices right now, but there's still hope. You can still change at any time. Like you said earlier, self-awareness. Once you are self-aware of what is happening, those patterns that you got from your parents, then that's when you can start truly healing and working on that. So I appreciate you sharing that, because I also grew up in a household too with all that stuff, the alcoholism, the abuse, emotional, physical. And I didn't understand that when I was showing up in relationships, it was coming from that place, what I had seen. So there's a lot of unlearning I also had to do as well. And I'm truly grateful that I did get into this field, because it really pushed me to open up that healing journey for myself. And I'm like, wow, I have completely transformed since starting my grad program. So I'm curious, for you, when did your healing journey start? Like, when did you start realizing, shit, like I learned this from my parents? Like, when did all of that start to click for you? Was it in grad school? Was it before before you decided to get into the field?
Well, I was already in grad school.
Oh, okay. Grad
And
school, it's
I think grad school really opens up a can of worms.
literally every class, right? Of the teachers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's also a journey going inward too. Because you're not only learning around how to support others' mental health and etc., but it's also about understanding ourselves. So I've always been really into human like behavior, pattern recognition. I've always been into psychology. I came to SF State to do undergraduate school and psychology. I'm from Salinas, which is like a very small, like farm working town, an hour and a half away from San Francisco. And I've been like back and forth. I moved out of state. I lived in New Jersey for some time. That's
Nice.
a long story because I was chasing love. I was young in my 20s. Yeah. If we have time, we can talk about that.
I
But
want to
then-
hear about this. We want the cheeseman too.
And then I came back. I went to Texas. I came back. But then I went
You went to
to
Texas too?
I moved. Yeah, I lived in
What part of?
Dallas.
Oh, okay, nice.
Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So, anyways, so I came back. Came to SF State, studied psychology, and then I took a couple of years. I studied, and then I started the program for the clinical counseling to become a licensed marriage and family therapist. And it was at that point I wasn't really like hadn't started therapy. I wasn't really embarking in my healing journey until I remember a pivotal moment for me was when in a class, I can't remember the name of the class, but we had to do a family genogram. And a family, you know what that is, right? Yeah.
They made me do it too.
So the family genogram is really doing like 3 to 4 generations. It's almost like a family tree, but it's really looking specifically at the relational aspects of your family. And at that point, I was very into that assignment. I was interviewing family. I was calling my aunts, and
That was
cousins.
like the most awkward thing, huh?
That was awkward, but people were very interested. Like my family were very interested to find out what came out from it. So I was interviewing and I did the 3 generations. And what I realized there was I was just like, wow, there's so much trauma in here. I was just seeing different generations with like substance abuse, domestic violence, mental health, like anxiety, depression, PTSD. And I was like, oh shoot, it just like me cayó el 20, like
Mhm.
that's where it clicked right there. And I was like, I really need to go to therapy and process this.
Like, whoa.
It was a lot to unpack, and it really made me realize, wow, I'm probably the only one that knows all of this information. And it was like really intense things that I found out that I was like, I really need a space to process this. And that's where I started going to therapy, and that's where my healing journey began.
Shout out to that class
Yes,
and doing that genogram.
and a lot of people don't take it seriously. It's just another assignment. But for me, I was like, if I'm in it, might as well take advantage of it and like really learn something, take something from it. And after that, it just made me more understanding of my parents' journey and, understanding where they were coming from and recognizing that it's not that they wanted to be neglectful, is that they were surviving too. And I know a lot of people struggle with this when it comes to navigating their relationships with their parents, because some people do experience some really terrible things like abuse, so many things. But I think that for me, I had to really come to the realization that, okay, I can be compassionate and also understanding of my parents' experiences and the adversities that they experience, and I can also hold space for myself because I matter too, and
You do.
I can make peace for that. I can make peace with that. And that was also just a big part of healing my relationship with my parents. And it's not like it was like chaotic or anything of that sort, but it made me see them through the lens of they are human, and I can have empathy and understanding of their experiences.
I appreciate you saying that because that for me was what helped me heal my relationship with my father. Not the genogram necessarily, but just the things I've been learning. The fact that our parents were living on survival mode and they were just operating in the way that they knew from their parents.
Mhm.
And also like seeing the genogram and seeing how like alcoholism, substance abuse, domestic violence, all that was in the genogram too. And I was like, wow, like not only that, but like death. When our parents experienced grief for the first time, they didn't know how to handle that. And then they probably went straight to the bottle, things
Yeah.
like that. So all those things I finally put together and I was like, wow, like this is my first time living. This is their first time living. Although like you said, you still have to hold space for yourself and give yourself grace and love yourself, but also just have that empathy in putting yourself in their shoes and what they were going through during that time. They were doing the best that they could with what they had.
Exactly, yeah.
And yeah, I think it's important. And I'm glad we're talking about this because there's a lot of people out there that maybe they know, maybe they don't know that just take a moment and just look at your parents, what
Mhm.
they've gone through. Um, there's so much that they haven't even opened up to you about that they're
Mhm.
holding on to years of probably abuse, years of things that you probably would be like, wow. And that's why I'm so big on leading with love and spreading love and holding space for people. Like, I'm not here to give you solutions anymore and to try to change you, but let's just sit down and let's just hold space for each other and let's
Mhm.
just heal that way. Just
Mhm.
let it out, cry it out. Also, I'm doing existential humanistic therapy at my practicum site. So a lot of it's like being here in the now and just like taking things in as it comes up, slowing down. And it has really helped me in my healing journey and just realizing we just need we just need to slow down. We just need each other. We just need to talk it out. Let's hear each other with compassion, with understanding and empathy. And I feel like that has been healing not only in my journey, but also healing to the client with the clients that I'm working with.
I love that.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
I just had to put that in there with what you're saying, but it's so important for people to know how this works and why
Mhm.
therapy is so important.
It's very important. And I know that not everyone has the resources, and I think that there's a lot of that in the mental health, yeah, in mental health and in other aspects too, like in the healthcare system, and things are changing so much right now
Yeah.
too. I don't know, like politically, I don't know how things are going to change when it comes to seeking mental health treatment. And I do feel fortunate that, I mean, today is World Mental Health Day.
I saw you made a post about it.
And
Hey, look at that. What a coincidence.
it
We're talking about mental health.
exactly. And I also feel very fortunate to be able to get therapy and to provide this space for others. And I was just also thinking when you were sharing that is that I recently got my mom into therapy too.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
it's taken some time. I think that they're elder, my parents, they've gone through so much that it's also really challenging for them. It's a different generation and they didn't grow up like normalizing or understanding mental health. Before it was like, oh, it's just like for crazy people and like they're going to get institutionalized
It's
and
not a thing.
it's not a thing. It's like it's not a thing. You're anxious or depressed, like go clean your house, go do whatever
Ve a
you need to
limpiar.
do. But the reality is like for me, I just recently got her therapy. It's been taking a long time. I think that for a couple of years now, we had a big impact in our family. So one of my brothers passed away. We're five, right? And
Oh,
now we're four. He had passed away. It was a very terrible accident. It was in Mexico, and that really impacted my parents a lot. I think primarily my mom, because I mean, I don't know what it means to be a parent, but I can't imagine how it is losing a child, and it's been really challenging because I think things have shifted again in our family dynamic, right? And when there is a loss and there is prolonged grief without it being treated or having a space to support it, it can be really challenging. And I was able to really get my mom therapy and get her in it, and it's not that it's gonna ever go away, but it's how it's gonna help her to manage that grief differently and to come into acceptance. And grief is like a wave. It comes and it goes. It's not that it should go away forever, but it's just we learn to cope with grief. So I think that I feel very fortunate to be able to support my mom in getting her that support, and that she's going through a lot of different transitions too, of like from working to not working at all because she's getting older. So it's like I understand. Also, I think for me as an adult child, I think there's a lot of grief that comes into that because knowing that, I mean, we're not here forever.
that's the reality.
We're not here
Yeah.
forever. There's that mortality question when you come upon losing a family member or knowing that your parents are getting older, their mobility is not great, and they're just probably deteriorating. Mortality is like so present. So it's also how do I come into terms and accept that these things happen, like death is happens. Grief happens, but then also reminding myself I can grieve that, but I can also focus on what I have now. And what can I do with what I have now is really support them, is show up, is be present, is focusing on what I do have now.
I love that you bring death up. And I'm saying it like that because I've had to learn working with the elderly population to get comfortable talking about death. It's always been one of those things that I feel has always been uncomfortable to say. Even the word sex, right? Sex therapy. I feel like growing up in my family has always been like, don't talk about it. But you bringing it up, it just reminds me this is so important to talk about because it's going to happen to all of us. Like this is life. It's a cycle of life. And it's so sad to even think about it, especially as we're getting older, our parents are getting older and we can't help but look at them and just be like, wow, like you're getting there.
Mhm.
You're starting to see it and it just makes you want to be more present. Like you
Mhm.
said, yeah, it's something I've definitely had to just get used to. And it has made me too a better therapist because of it, because it just makes me feel more present with my clients too, and just present with my family and friends and just being like, we got to enjoy every moment we have together
Mm.
because you just never know. You never know. Tomorrow something could happen. And I feel like that's the mentality I've had to take on this year. And it's been amazing because it's made me feel so much more gratitude for being alive. But I understand it's tough, like looking at our parents and just being like, damn, like their time is going to come at some point. Like, how am I going to go about it? And when it comes to grief and them grieving, like I'm I'm witnessing my mom right now at the brink of losing her mom and how much that is affecting her. She's one of the oldest sisters. She out of 14. So she's like she holds it down for all of them, and she's always been the strong one. And it's very interesting because I feel like every time I talk to her, it's healing for her because I'm just like, tell me how you're really feeling, mom. And she just like lets it all out. By the way, she's also looking for a therapist. So I love that you mentioned that you got your mom a therapist because I'm on the
It's gonna
hunt
be
for
really
my mom.
helpful, yeah, that she does have that space to process.
Yes, I agree. And I actually made an episode with her in the first season, and in the first like couple of seconds she started bawling. She was talking about her dad. He passed away when she was in her 30s. And that was the first loss she ever experienced. She never like spoke about it to anyone. And this was like one of the first times, like years later, it's crazy to be talking about her father, who she like loves so much. And I was like, wow, I just, in that episode, like I sensed so much emotion, so much grief that hasn't been processed.
And if we don't process that grief, it's somatically it's gonna show up because our body remembers.
Exactly. That's why it's so
Yeah.
important. Like, even if you can't do therapy, what I want people to get from this is like, hold space for each other, like be open and compassionate with each other and allowing each other to just open up about what's coming up or what you're feeling. But I also get like not everyone has the capacity to take in what other people want to vent, right? So I get that too. I think just having those transparent conversations where it's like, hey girl, you got 10 minutes? I need to let some shit out.
I feel
You
you.
got 5 minutes?
Yeah, and therapy is one form of healing. There's many ways. It's not always that. Sometimes some people would love therapy and it works for them, but not for others. So there's many approaches. There's different ways of healing. I'm a big advocate of like community and finding your own spaces. It could be, I know my mom was doing a long time ago, like Al-Anon. She was going to these groups with this other woman, like her age. And Al-Anon it's like a group for family members that I don't know how that yeah, that's had family with substance abuse
I actually
issues.
joined one of those. It was
Yeah.
required for one of my classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I did that once, but that was like a very small, intimate group of like señoras, and that felt good for her. And
Oh,
that was her space that she would go after work. And I told her, have you tried that group, because that would be a great place for her to go back in, not to talk about, like, they talk about everything, but it's a community, so
yeah.
finding your own communities, finding friendships, like hobbies, things that you want to explore, that maybe you feel like you want to explore, you feel passionate about. That's also something, a way to heal, that can be also therapeutic. And that's not only therapy. There's many ways of processing, there's many ways of healing
Yeah, no, 100% real. What are some things that you do
that I
that
do.
maybe not necessarily therapy, but that you do that you feel like it has been helping you therapeutically?
I work out.
Yes, me too.
I'm active. I'm just working out helps me. It helps me. It helps my body, it helps my health, it helps my mental health. I do like going out for bike rides. I have an e-bike and that's really nice to just go nowhere, go somewhere, but nowhere. And at the same time, I've explored a lot of the different trails out there where I live. Lately I've been gardening. It feels like a bit of a task, but once I'm in it, I'm just like, okay, I like this. I like
We're
this.
in our senora era or what?
We're in our senora. That honestly, I think sometimes I would say like what I want to get into is into baking. I'm not big into like cooking. I know, but
It's
I
okay,
I cook.
girl. Not trust me.
I cook to survive, to feed my body, to feel
Same.
good. I don't know, something I'm just like scrolling on TikTok and I get a lot of baking like recipes and I'm saving them. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try that. I like create content. I think that's a way for me to use my voice to build confidence, to also educate, to inspire. That's been a way for me to also, yeah, that's been very healing for me and therapeutic.
Yeah, no, that is very healing and therapeutic. I do. It's not all of them. I don't bake, but I have noticed like I've been doing things like cooking. I'm not really like a chef. I'm not a chef, but I can cook certain things here and there. I meal prep. But I've like started romanticizing things or even like washing the dishes. I used to hate washing the dishes. If my mom's watching this, she'll be like, mm-mm. But I've started romanticizing it. It just feels good to know that I have a clean space. And that
Yeah.
in itself is therapeutic,
Yeah, the cleaning thing, for
right?
sure. I tell my husband, just leave me alone. Do not talk to me. Don't look at me. Leave me alone. Like I want to be by myself. This is a space for me to process. And I do get into it. I do get into cleaning. I like it.
Actually, I love that you said that too, how you tell him like, leave me alone. Let me do my cleaning because that goes into relationships, right?
Yes.
Having the hard conversations, the transparent conversations. I feel like one thing I've learned with couples is it's so hard for them to express their needs and wants
Yeah.
because they're afraid of what the other person is going to say or
Mm.
how they will react. And I am a firm believer, and I feel like you are too, that in a healthy relationship, it's important to be able to voice yourself in a respectful way, right? It's
Mhm.
not what you say, it's how you say it
Mhm.
with your partner, and your partner being able to respond in an emotionally intelligent way and just understanding and not take it personal. Because in a, I don't know, toxic relationship, I feel like for myself, when I've ever expressed something where I want to be alone or something, the other
Mhm.
person might take it like, oh, what did I do wrong? Or why don't they want to
Mhm.
spend time with me? And it's like, it's not that. It's just I value my me time sometimes too. And I just want you to know, hey, I need a day to myself.
Mhm.
Nothing personal, just need that day to myself.
Yes, I think that you're right. I work with a lot of clients who struggle communicating, and first of all, understanding what they want. I think that they're so focused on, they're hyper focused on the other person that they don't check in with themselves. So I think that this goes back to our attachment styles. It also goes back to how we grow up seeing our parents' dynamic,
Mm,
and
mhm.
also how we show up in our relationship, because again, these are all learned patterns and behaviors. And I can think of, maybe one example. I work with many clients, and what I hear often is, he should know what I want. He should know what I need. And this is why I got upset. And this is why I'm angry and resentful and I'm nagging and I'm like just very defensive. And then when I start kind of like asking and unpacking that, and then I ask them, well, where is this coming from? Where did you see this growing up? Is this something that you saw your parents do, this dynamic where you have an expectation internalized that the other person should meet all of your needs and they should mind read what you're wanting and needing? I mean, I get it that you want to feel seen, you want to feel supported, you want to feel validated. These are all very valid needs, but are you really communicating that? Are you just mind reading, jumping into these unhelpful thinking patterns that maybe you hold? Are you holding on to these unhelpful thinking patterns? Because the reality is that's impacting your relationship. So once we unpack, we start saying, okay, well, maybe I'm just jumping into conclusions and I need to work on, first of all, identifying I really need my partner to support me in cleaning the dishes, or cooking or taking our children to bed or doing something, right? And I think that a lot of women, because I do work with a lot of women, there's an invisible mental load that we
Mm,
often carry, right? We're the therapist, we're the manager, we are, the parents, we are like managing the home. There's so many roles that we kind of carry. But I think that is really important to really check in. Well, if I'm really needing my partner to help me to clean the dishes because I'm cooking and I'm doing so many other things, I really need to communicate that. Like, I can't sit here and pretend that he should know or they should know. You see what I mean? So I think like
yes.
that is a big, big thing that I do see many clients kind of go through. And
Mhm.
they actually, once we learn how to be more assertive, integrating those assertive skills, using I statements, and also saying, this is what I need next time, it shifts the dynamic, because it's not just you never do this, you never do that. It's more of like, I need this, to feel supported, to feel like we're working as a team. Can you help me do this? Can next time can we do this? Right? So it's different than just to be like, you don't do this, you don't do that. There's going to be a lot of defensiveness. And I think that sometimes we say, oh, well, this is like the toxic patterns. And I think that for me, when I say toxic, I think about patterns that can be a bit dysfunctional, but I don't want it to be like, oh, toxic is like already super bad, right?
Yeah.
It's more of like we have to unlearn these patterns in order to build healthy relationships.
Yes, yes. No, you're right. There's a bunch of patterns that we've learned and taken on that are not healthy. It's really about unlearning those things and just kind of figuring out what works for you and your partner. Because at the end of the day, both of you are two different
Mm.
people with different upbringings and beliefs and biases. And when you really think about it and you come together as a couple, not only are they working on themselves individually, but then you're both bringing in things together and things come up, your different communication styles, the way you deal with conflict. And it's important to just be upfront and have these conversations with each other without getting defensive
Yeah.
and just hearing each other out with love and just coming with love and being like, okay, what is she telling me? What is she asking me? How can I be better? I feel like that's what's definitely missing within relationships and how it
Mm.
can be healthier. So I love that we're talking about this because I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that are listening in that could benefit from this conversation for sure.
Yeah. And it's really also understanding our triggers because,
Hmm.
as you mentioned, we all come from different lived experiences and we may have our own triggers. And again, it's really understanding ourselves. Is this really what this person, my partner, is saying? Or am I interpreting it based on a past experience that I went through I don't know, in a toxic relationship or abuse or my parents, etc. Is this coming from an abandonment wound or a rejection wound or a father or mother wound, or is my partner just wants to make it clear what they need from me?
Yeah.
Right? So it's really I think that when it comes to relationships, it takes a level of vulnerability that unfortunately not everyone feels comfortable with that. And it's a work in progress, right? But it's being able to feel a sense of safety within the relationship, because if there's no safety, it's going to be hard for them to open up, for them to be like, I'm feeling insecure, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling unseen, I'm feeling disrespected. It's not everyone, based on people's own triggers, are going to respond in a way that is like empathic or understanding. So again, it's about doing the inner work and understanding where each is coming from, and trying to understand each other. I think it's really about being understanding, empathic with each other, and knowing that it's not about perfection. It's about not even about performance. It's about really trying to connect. I think connection.
Hmm.
But, defensiveness leads to disconnection, but we need to be able to put our armor down a little bit. But again, It's really about figuring out, do I really feel safe with this person? Does this person provide the sense of safety that I need to open up, to share? Um, it's all of these things.
Yeah, no, everything you're saying is on point. And one word that stuck out to me is inner work,
Mhm.
because I truly feel within my core it's so important for us as humans to
Yeah.
do the inner work on our own, because when you do get into a relationship, shit shows up. It's inevitable. There's no perfect relationship. Your partner's not perfect. You're not perfect. And when you do that inner work, you're able to catch those triggers, right? You're able to be like, oh, wait, why is this coming up for me? Or you may still get heated in the argument, but it's about catching yourself and
Mhm.
being self aware and being like, "Oh shit, babe, you know what? That was a rejection wound," or,
Mhm.
having those conversations with each other is so important. And that's why I'm so big on also working with women, mainly women, because I guess I'm a woman, so I'm biased.
Mhm.
I just want to help more Latin women just become their best selves, you know?
I do work with a
Uh,
lot of men
You
too.
do?
I do enjoy working with men. I think it's a different approach because there's a lot of shame and a lot of shame and guilt that they've internalized. I think that women and men, we've been conditioned very differently,
Mm.
but we hold very similar like traumas in a way. We've both been impacted by patriarchy. We've both been impacted by misogyny, by the systems that we live in, and we've been conditioned differently in a way. Of course, men have been told not to cry, to man up, to weakness is like the worst thing, showing any emotion, any vulnerability. But the reality is like vulnerability is how we connect. It's how we build ourselves, how we build healthy relationships. And a lot of the challenges that I see in men is finding a balance between like what is okay. Like I think they have a lot of expectations, the internalized expectations of I can't show emotion, I need to provide, I need to show up for everyone and my family, and I'm like last in this, like I'm gonna take my care of myself the last. So I think that there's a different set of challenges that men hold, but at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all trying to
Yeah.
heal. We all come from different challenges and adversities. And it's really about, again, doing that inner work and recognizing that part of that is looking at our past and how to transform that, how to use that as life lessons and learn from that so we can be better people, better human beings for in our relationships, for ourselves, for our futures, for future generations. That's how I see it.
Yeah. No, I love that, because there's this movie out there, it's called It Ends With Us. And I always think about that when I think about what you're bringing up, because
Mhm.
yes, it's gonna end with us. We're at a starting point, right, with, trauma and breaking the patterns. But yeah, you're right, like, we're all human at the end of the day, and we all need each other. I feel like, especially now more than ever, like, with Republicans, Democrats, we're all divided. Men and women, we're all divided. I just feel like it's society plays a bigger role in dividing us,
Yeah.
because when we're divided, we can't come together. And
I think that even online, I just see so much polarity and division, even like between men and women.
yeah,
That I'm like, "My gosh, it's a hot mess." Like, even when it comes to dating, when it comes to content, when it comes to, like, the red pill, like, I've been just getting my learning a lot and doing a lot of research on, like, incel community, red pill, black pill, like
I haven't heard of those. Is
there's
that
so much stuff out there that I'm just like, wow, like, and it's all impacting what? Relationships. It's all impacting the way that we connect. But because again, that red pill, the black pill, the incel community, there's so many communities out there of men that are also just I think that feeds off the misogyny. And
I
unfortunately,
see
it's like
that.
there's a big power struggle that I see because somehow they're blaming feminists and the feminist movement. Sorry, I just laugh because I think it's they're always going to try to find thing to blame for the internal things, that the issues, for the things that they need to really work on. Unfortunately, that's the reality. And it's a blame game,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Everyone's
And
always blaming everyone
and
else.
everyone, even women, I'm sorry, but like
We got to hold each other
we gotta
accountable. We
hold each
do.
other
We do.
accountable. We gotta hold each other accountable.
Look, this is Get Real with V, okay? We get real. And ladies, we gotta call y'all out sometimes too on our shit. I mean, we're in this seat, like we're doing what we're doing. You're a licensed therapist because you had to call yourself out on shit.
Yeah.
I have had to call myself out on a lot of shit that I was not proud of.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I have to in order to become the best version of myself, in order to be a better human. It's just, you have to. And sometimes when you look at your life and you're like, why was I in these situations? Why did I attract this partner? Why? It circles back to looking at, how did you play a part in that?
Like, what role did you play into it?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because we all play a role in any dynamic that we're in.
And it's not taken away from the other person.
It's not taking away
Yeah.
accountability.
Yeah.
That's what we want to say. We're not saying that abuse is okay. We're not
Yes, we're
saying
not.
that, but we do play a role. And sometimes that role could be that we were brought up in a probably dysfunctional, toxic family dynamic, and we have to recognize that that's no longer working for us, and we need to heal. We need to heal. We need to work on ourselves, so that way we attract, we choose different, right? Because I believe in the power of choice.
Mm.
And you know, that can also probably seem a little bit victim blaming or whatnot, but it's not, because I believe that because we all play a role, we also have the power to choose how we want to move forward. Once we know and we are aware and we recognize this doesn't work for me, I have to choose different. I have to take a different action. That's the power of choice. But that comes with awareness. And of course, there is grief. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of like trying to stay focused on the past. And the should have, could have, would have, it's not going to be helpful either. We have to really move forward and use what we know and what we've learned and take that with us.
Yeah, and I can see people like listening and being like, well, what about the women that really can't leave? Which I do get, because it just came to my mind. Like, there are situations and circumstances where they might be dealing with domestic violence, and maybe they're dependent on their husband or partner, and getting out is like just hard to really picture. So I can see that being like, well, that's not a choice.
And I see that. I see that a lot. And part of the work that I've done is helping my clients to come up with an exit plan, because they may not have the resources, maybe the financial means to leave in the moment. That happens because a lot of the times it's like there's a power dynamic, a power differential there, where they're in a very abusive situation. They can leave, and because they don't have the money, they don't work, they're raising the children, etc. And that happens. But it's like, okay, it doesn't work now. How can we build your support system? How can we help you connect with different resources, to connect with community, to get yourself a job, right? To build yourself up, to build your confidence, and build an exit plan. And it's a process, right? It's not going to happen de la noche a la mañana, but it's going to be, it's a time. It's going to take a little bit of time, but that's in itself, having a plan, that's what really matters.
I love that you say that, because that just shows y'all the importance of having a therapist, because you can work with the therapist to have that exit plan. And like you said, it's not going to happen overnight, but there's hope out there. I promise, if you just reach out to your resources. And I know there's a lot of resources. But anywho, so as we start to close down, we just have a couple of questions left for you to answer. So you're not only a therapist, but you're also a speaker and a podcast host. What inspired you to create your podcast, Heal and Manifest? And what is the meaning behind that podcast?
For me, it took me a while to get started on the podcast. I think I had a lot of imposter syndrome and a lot of self-doubt, but I wanted to create a space where I had other women, other people who could relate to my experiences, um, because I knew that I wasn't alone in my experiences and in how I felt. So I wanted to create a space for that. And I didn't see growing up, I didn't see many people doing what I did and what I do. And even now, like I know that it's kind of new and we're seeing more Latina podcasters, which I think it's amazing, but I didn't see that back then. And I wanted to create that space and I wanted to educate and to inspire and to support anyone who was struggling with mental health challenges to listen to the podcast and to feel seen, to feel validated. And that was for me how I started. And heal and manifest, I know that manifest and manifestation means different for different people. For me, heal and manifest comes together because I believe that we have the power to create our own reality. And and I think that that in itself,
Sorry, that one, I'm all about that. You create your own
we
reality.
create our own reality. And I believe that when we heal, we're able to break certain cycles and generational cycles of trauma, and we're able to see ourselves for who we truly are. And our stories don't define us, they just make us stronger, they make us more resilient, they make us more chingonas
Oh,
and
yeah.
guerreras. And honestly, I believe that when we do break these cycles, that we can manifest what we want. It requires doing that inner work. And I think that healing and manifestation come together. I don't think they can't exist without it because we need to be able to do that inner work in order to manifest and to get what we want.
I love that.
Yeah.
Healing and in order to manifest, you gotta heal. They're both together. They're
They're
both
both
one.
together. Yeah, they're
I
both
love
one.
it's so true because I have been working so hard on my healing that I'm starting to see all my manifestations come to fruition. And I'm like, all I had to do was this, huh? I just had to follow through. I just had to stay committed to myself. That's it.
Yes, that
And
self-commitment. Because I remember like even me launching my private practice and going into like entrepreneurship, I was so scared because I didn't have anyone in my family do that. So I'm technically the first. And
shout out to you for
thank
being the
you.
first.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, how am I going to do this?" And I know that entrepreneurship and jumping into what I'm doing, even with my podcast, even coming here, it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage, but I think that entrepreneurship and this journey has taught me so much about myself, and it has helped me like embark again in my healing journey and to break a lot of different cycles and contracts that I kind of held, all of these invisible contracts. I had to break all of those and I had to really look within to be able to move forward. And everything I do, I think it's a self-commitment. Whether it is to I want to do this and then I change my mind, I don't want to do that. It's like any little decision. It's about being committed to my journey and giving myself also permission. If things don't align, it's okay. Like I don't have to, because of expectations, I don't have to hold on to it. I can release that and then move to something different, you know? But I think that it's all connected, and my entrepreneurship journey, my podcast, what I do now in the healing work that I do with others, it has taught me so much. And again, it's going inward. It has required me to embark in my healing journey.
I love that. I
Mhm.
love that a lot. And I hope that you, for those listening, you take something from her story and you start to work inward so you can see and manifest a life that you desire. That's eventually what I want to get into. I want to start a coaching program where I work with women and helping them also heal and manifest. So it's like,
Mm. I
Very
love that.
interesting. Yeah, like we really need it. Like when you build and work on your confidence and yourself, you attract so many beautiful things into your life. You manifest the life you truly desire, but it comes with that self commitment.
100%. And you know what? Lately, I've been thinking a lot about manifesting because I think that some people think like we manifest our dreams and the perfect life. And it's not about perfection again. It's like, for me, I knew I wanted a slower kind of life. I wanted to create my own timeline and my own rules and do my own thing.
Yeah,
Because I'm not good with taking orders from other people.
I feel
I can't.
that.
I can't. But anyways, that's where I'm at now. I don't know. Who knows in a couple of years, right? But that's it required me to do things out of the box and it still does. But it's not so much of like, oh, I'm manifesting this when people say like manifest your dream life. Some people think like it's like something unreachable. And again, because we hold on to expectations, societal, cultural expectations of where we think we need to be, sometimes it's just like, I don't want to work 40 hours a day. I mean, I don't want to be driving for long. I want something different. I want a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about, what are my priorities right now? I want to have children or I want to be a homemaker and I want to, etc. It's whatever it is, but like that it's yours. It's not what society tells you that what your dream life needs to be. And I think that that's something that I had to unlearn a lot and I still am because I'm like, well, we get to different stages in our lives that can change. Like so give ourselves permission to change our mind. Okay, well, my dream life was this. It's not coming from external noise and what they think, I think that other people think that I need to do, etc. It's about what I want. And it can change. It can change from now in a year. It can change from now in 6 months. That's something that I always remind myself and tell my clients like, give yourself that permission slip to pivot as much as you want and do things on your own terms. Like you create your timeline. You define and you redefine what your dream life means for you. It's not what other people tell you.
I appreciate you saying that because I needed to hear that too. I'm very self aware that I get to create the life I want. And I'm finally okay with creating it and not caring what my mom thinks or my dad or family or strangers. Cause even like I have moments too where I want to pivot sometimes. I'm like, I just want a slow life.
Yeah.
I just want to enjoy Mother Earth. I want to be in a cabin somewhere, enjoying the water, drinking my cup of coffee, listening
Yeah.
to music, just slowing down. So I appreciate you saying that because I'm sure it's going to continue to change once in a while and just giving myself grace.
Yeah. That giving ourselves grace. I think that's a big one.
We
Cause
don't do that enough.
I know sometimes I struggle with it. And I think lately I've been a little bit in a funk and I'm like, what's going on? Like, I've come to realize that it's okay to pivot. It's okay to change my mind. It's okay to sometimes not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. And I also get to define what success means for me. I get to define how I want to live my life. I get to make those choices for myself outside of the noise and what society and our family wants for us and, you know, all of that.
Yeah. What do we want from ourselves?
Mm.
Main important question. I'm gonna be thinking about that after this episode.
Yes.
But to close down, I have one last question for you. What message do you hope to leave with women who are still learning to love themselves and unlearn unhealthy patterns? One message for women.
I think the message that I want to give is it's okay that, I think like self validation is really important. Sometimes we try to seek other people's validations when it comes to like our self worth and our self love. But I do believe that you can, when you go inward, when you ask yourself the hard questions, I think that when you pause and you actually answer them, you know that you have the answers within. yourself, whether it is I'm doubting myself or why am I not XYZ, like comparing yourself or being very like engaging in this negative self talk. I think that what we need to do is like give yourself a lot of grace and compassion and remind yourself how far you've come. Remind yourself that we all have a story. You have a story. You've probably been through a lot of stuff, a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, maybe trauma. And remind yourself, well, what can I learn from that experience? I can't go to the past. I can't change myself in the past. I can only focus on where I'm at now and what I can do for myself now. And a lot of that is giving ourselves grace, is giving ourselves compassion, is reminding ourselves that we do have these different versions of ourselves, even our inner child that have struggled, and that we can also remind ourselves like we've done a lot. So instead of focusing so much on the things that we are not where or the goals that we have not met or the dream life that we want, it's like what can I do now to make a change? Like, again, that power of choice. So I think that that is a big one that I always try to remind myself when I'm like doubting myself, when I'm um I don't know, like just I don't really put myself down. Thankfully, I've had to do
Too often.
I know I've actually worked on that a lot and I'm really proud of myself, but I would say that remind ourselves this is where we're at now. What choice can I make now to feel good with myself?
Yeah. Like, not to focus too much on, like, what has already happened in the past,
Yeah.
but, like, where we're at right now and what can we do from this moment moving forward. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that message, and I know a lot of women out there that are listening will also appreciate it as well. We are closing down, but I just wanna say thank you so much for being on today. The conversation was phenomenal. I love talking about anything therapy. I love talking about relationships, the Latino community, all the trauma and everything that we unpacked today. Like, it's so important for us in our community to really listen and take seriously and be educated on it because like you said, we got to heal within
Mhm.
ourselves first, but
Mhm.
most importantly within community, heal together, and being able to have these transparent conversations are so important for us as humans. And I'm grateful for the conversation today. I took a lot from it. And I hope that you guys listening in also took a lot from Cynthia. And if you're looking for a therapist, hit her up. We'll put her information here. Check out her podcast, Heal
Yes.
and Manifest, because it's true. You can't have one without the other. You
Mhm.
gotta heal in order to manifest that life you want.
That's right.
Okay? So let's start working on our healing together. And don't forget to please comment on the video and hit that subscribe and share it with a family or friend. Share it with someone you feel really needs these gems. These are free gems you're
Mhm.
getting. They cost you
Yes.
$0. And you all know we love a bargain. $0 to listen, to share, and to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But thank you so much for being on here. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you. And I just got to say, the work you are doing is amazing. And I'm sure you already know this, and I'm sure probably your husband tells you this, and maybe people close to you, but you're doing the work. You're the first in your family to try to break those patterns, and you should be very fucking proud of yourself.
I am. Thank
Proud
you.
of yourself for being loud, and that
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier how hard it was for you to be vulnerable and voice yourself, but you're doing it. And I just want to point that out for you
Thank you.
and tell you that as a stranger meeting you and seeing the stuff that you post of content, it's so healing for me to even read the stuff that you post and just to see another Latina woman that is doing the work, is doing exactly what I'm trying to pursue. It shows me what's attainable and it
Mhm.
inspires me as a woman. And yeah, so just know that what you're doing is impacting people. And it might not be billions and trillions, right? But it's one person right here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone else that's listening in, you're impacting people's lives and you did the work, girl. You healed. Well, I don't want to say you're fully healed, right? But
Yeah.
you're healing and you're doing it and you're holding yourself accountable. Because of that, you're able to show up for your clients and able to show up for your family and friends, able to show up for your husband. And that in itself is powerful as fuck.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. And thank you for having me here.
Yeah, of course. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that they were able to hear more about you, your journey, and what got you started in this journey of mental health. And as you guys know, you guys can follow her on what's your
I'm on Instagram and TikTok at Cynthia Flores, LMFT. And you can follow my podcast, Heal and Manifest Podcast with Cynthia Flores. And it's on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast.
awesome. So y'all don't sleep on her. You need a therapist, hit her
Hit
up.
me
All
up.
right. She's taking in clients. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. We love you. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.